Discover the world's most exciting destination just moments away. WinStar World Casino and Resort features over 8,600 games, plus two 18-hole golf courses, fine dining, and 5-star suites. Situated just a few miles from DFW, we're just a quick drive away. Book your stay at winstar.com and experience the excitement.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
My dad used to say that.
Sure, yeah. It's from Geico.
Yeah, whenever I would ask my dad for life advice, he'd sit me down and say, son, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. And look at me now, a well-adjusted adult with a drawer full of plastic bags I'll never use.
Okay, I'm confused. Was your dad a licensed Geico agent?
Nah, he was just a real good dad.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Greetings, conversationalists. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across America. The phone number, if you wish to be on this program, 877-97-ERIC, 877-973-7425. Well, I know we got people listening across the country now, but I got to tell you, I woke up this morning, looked at my phone and had a bunch of phone calls at 5:30 in the morning. I'm like, why on earth is anyone calling me at 5:30 in the morning? I have no idea why anyone would want to waste my time at 5:26 a.m. 5:26 a.m. I get this phone call. Let's see.
Welcome to the Message Center, powered by Everbridge. There are 1 messages.
Macon-Bibb County is under a tornado watch. Take time to locate your shelter-in-place room in your home or office. These safe rooms should be in the center of the building with as few windows as possible.
Yeah, you stop. You get the point. My goodness gracious. I'm getting like tornado warnings after tornado warnings. I slept through all of them. We had 3 or 4 so for those of you in Tulsa and Dayton and abroad, we had this thing called a tropical storm. It sailed through over my house at sometime this morning and dropped buckets of rain. I'm actually at my flagship studio, WSB in Atlanta today. And on my way up here, I'm halfway here. I'm on the phone with Philip, and Siri comes on and says, there is an active flash flood watch where you are. And suddenly I realize the roads are flooded. It was a mess. Oh, my goodness. Trees down everywhere. Thankfully, though, you know what held up? My new roof. My new roof took a licking and kept on ticking. Not a bit of damage, but trees and debris everywhere. Heavy rain. But it wasn't a hurricane. It was a tropical storm. And I keep hoping. So my neighbor has one pine tree. And I keep hoping that it's going to just get taken out. Every year I keep thinking I need to surreptitiously cut it because I'm afraid it's going to fall on the house one day. And it hasn't snapped yet. It's holding its own. All right. Speaking of snapping and holding its own, we're not in Afghanistan. It's not good. And the president of the United States is getting eaten alive. Before I get into the media commentary, and by the way, I got several people yesterday who sent me notes saying we didn't need to hear all of the reaction. We wanted to hear you. And I want to say something to everybody right now. I think it is actually important when the American media turns on Joe Biden that we should document it for the sake of documenting. That in and of itself is a news story. The fact that the American media has turned on Joe Biden. But what did he actually say? I'm going to play you some clips of Joe Biden from his press conference yesterday where he was essentially browbeaten by the American press into talking to the public about what happened.
When I came into office, I inherited a deal that President Trump negotiated with the Taliban.
Now, keep in mind, Joe Biden managed to get rid of every single agreement Donald Trump made except this one. Somehow or another, he didn't think he could get rid of this one, really. And this, by the way, is after he said they prepared for every contingency and he took full responsibility. Suddenly, it's Trump's fault.
Under his agreement,
not my agreement, his agreement.
U.S. forces would be out of Afghanistan by May 1, 2021. Just a little over 3 months after I took office.
So wait a second, you could change that?
U.S. forces had already drawn down during the Trump administration from roughly 15,500 American forces to 2,500 troops
And we were somehow able to maintain peace with 2,500 troops?
in country. And the Taliban was at its strongest militarily since 2001.
Holy crap. Maybe I shouldn't say that already. You mean we had 2,500 soldiers in Afghanistan and the Taliban was the strongest it's ever been, and we were still holding the country against them? Really?
The choice I had to make as your president was either to follow through on that agreement or be prepared to go back to fighting the Taliban in the middle of the spring fighting season.
Really? Wait. Now, let me just stop there. The spring fighting season. Here's what you need to know about this. Joe Biden did not have to leave when he did, but he wanted to leave to coincide with the symbolism of 9/11. And his military generals, it's not that they didn't want us to leave Afghanistan, it's that they didn't want us to leave right now. Keep that spring fighting season in mind. We're going to come back to it. Here's a little more of what he said.
Well, let me lay out the current mission in Afghanistan. I was asked to authorize, and I did, 6,000 U.S. troops to deploy to Afghanistan.
Wait, you just said there were 2,500, so now you've doing 8,500 troops?
For the purpose of assisting in the departure of U.S. and allied civilian personnel from Afghanistan.
So there were 2,500 soldiers and you needed to take 6,000 more to assist with getting rid of the 2,500? How does this work?
And to evacuate our Afghan allies and vulnerable Afghans to safety outside of Afghanistan. Our troops are working to secure the airfield.
Except the Taliban
and ensure continued operation of both the civilian and military flights.
No, civilian flights got shut down by the
We're
Taliban.
Taking over air traffic control. We have safely shut down our embassy.
You didn't safely shut it down. You evacuated it.
And transferred our diplomats.
They fled.
Our diplomatic presence is now consolidated at the airport as well.
Wait. You spent $700 million on an embassy, and your ambassador has fled with the flag to the airport that you don't even control, the Taliban does, and you think this is an accomplishment?
Over the coming days, we intend to transport out thousands of American citizens.
Really?
Who've been living and working in Afghanistan.
Why didn't you do that sooner?
We'll also continue to support the safe departure of civilian personnel, the civilian personnel of our allies who are still serving in Afghanistan.
Again, why didn't you do that sooner?
I know there are concerns about why we did not begin evacuating Afghans civilians sooner. Part of the answer is some of the Afghans did not want to leave earlier.
That's BS. The president of Afghanistan already fled the scene.
Still hopeful for their country. And part of it because the Afghan government and its supporters discouraged us from organizing a mass exodus to avoid triggering, as they said, a crisis of confidence.
Already happened, Joe, and it's your fault, not their fault. So he starts by saying he's responsible and then blames everybody but himself and then doubles down pridefully. Let's go back to his statement. We would have to fight the Taliban in the spring fighting season. We have seasons. Summer, fall, winter, spring. If you study the history of the planet, most fighting forces until the advent of modern machinery and the Industrial Revolution had fighting seasons. You go to the Roman Empire, and the Roman Empire, they fought in the late spring until the early fall. Why? Because of the same reason the Taliban fight in the late spring into the early fall. There's a harvest season, and there's a winter, and there's a planting season. Here's what happens. This is well known. This is well documented. And this was the advice given to Joe Biden by the military. I know it. I have confirmed it. They're now leaking to the press. In the late fall, the Taliban harvests the poppies from Afghanistan because the Taliban depends on the drug trade, opium and heroin, to fund their terrorist regimes. So they harvest the poppies. And then the winters in Afghanistan are actually, you think of it as a desert country, but it's North Asia, and it is a brutal winter. Most of the Taliban leave and go into Pakistan, and they bunker down in the hills and valleys of Afghanistan when they don't leave because the winters there drop a ton of snow. They are notorious for avalanches in the mountains. Afghanistan has brutally cold winters, despite global warming. When the early spring comes and the snow melts, they plant more poppies. And only then, you heard Joe Biden reference the late spring fighting season, only then are they prepared for war. The American military advised Joe Biden not to not leave Afghanistan, but to not leave during the fighting season. If you left in the late fall and the winter, the Taliban would not be able to spread across the country. That was the advice of the American military. It is now confirmed from multiple accounts, including firsthand conversations I have had. It is why Donald Trump wanted to leave by May, because the Taliban would still be planting their fields and not be in a position to fight. Joe Biden decided to delay it instead of cancel it. And in delaying it, what did he do? He decided to leave during the fighting season. The Taliban have nothing better to do than to fight right now. And the American military and diplomatic corps knew it. They advised Joe Biden against it, not against leaving at all, but against leaving right now. And Joe Biden overruled everyone. And the press, back in April, the press heralded it as Joe Biden's in charge. Joe Biden's a leader. Joe Biden's got it. Joe Biden's not afraid to overrule the American military. There's going to be no more forever wars with Joe Biden. Here it comes, folks. Joe's taking charge. And the consequence of Joe Biden ignoring everyone is the immediate collapse. The immediate collapse of the Afghan government and the cities of Afghanistan. It is a brutal and immediate, devastating clash. Here's the Associated Press alert I just literally got as I was speaking. Taliban fighters who rolled into Kabul appeared awestruck by the towering apartment blocks, modern office buildings, and shopping malls. Afghanistan's cities have been transformed in the 2 decades since a U.S.-led invasion drove the militants from power. For 20 years, we have stabilized Afghanistan. For 20 years, the rate of literacy has gone up. The rate of women's education has gone up. The rate of murder has gone down. The crime rate has gone down. The brutalization has gone down. The life expectancy has expanded. The economic output has gone up. The lives of the Afghan population has measurably, visibly improved. And the military told Joe Biden, "Sir, just hang on a few more months." But Joe Biden wanted the symbolism of 9/11. Now he's got the symbolism of 9/11. He's restored to power the very men who helped orchestrate 9/11, who Osama bin Laden himself pledged his loyalty to. They'll be back in power fully by 9/11. That's the symbolism Joe Biden gets because he was arrogant. You know, they say Donald Trump was the comment section of the internet elected president. If so, Joe Biden is the DMV. He's a government bureaucrat, never had a job in the private sector, with all the arrogance and hubris to think that everything is going to work the way he says it's going to work, and anything that doesn't work isn't his fault, it's someone else's fault. He's the DMV elected president. He chose not to listen. The media praised him in April for not listening to the military. And the result is chaos and carnage. I don't know if y'all have seen the report when they opened the wheels of the C-17 flying people to Kuwait, hands fell out. Hands fell out. The people who fell to their deaths trying to flee who were holding on to the C-17. Some of them, their hands were crushed and chopped off in the wheelbarrow as the wheels were pulled up, and they fell to their deaths, desperate to flee the Taliban. That's on Joe Biden. Even the American military told Joe Biden not to do this. It's not a not go home. It's a not go home right now, because there's a fighting season and there's a harvest season, and they don't fight in the harvest season, Mr. President. And he said no. Joe knew best. Joe knew best, he said. Never underestimate Joe's ability to F things up, in the words of Barack Obama. He screwed this up. It's on Joe Biden. And even the Democrats today, they know it. But the Taliban know it as well. And the other jihadists do too. And that's the problem.
Do you know why you get free mail services out there? Because, I mean, you're actually the what's being sold to advertisers, among other things. And it's just not smart right now. With so many hackers, so much sensitive information out there, you need a great email service that keeps everything private, and you're not up for sale. You're not getting ads in return. Start Mail keeps everything encrypted. Everything is great. And when you delete it, your email from Start Mail, it's gone forever. Now, you can feel safe with Start Mail because it's backed by the world's most robust privacy laws, and Start Mail uses their own servers, not Amazon's, which means that they can't be put out of business like Parler was put out of business. You get unlimited anonymous alias addresses. So let's say you need to provide an email to a company, but you want to protect your identity. You don't want to start getting spam from them. Start Mail can generate a shareable alias email for you, and it can be deleted at any time. Now, here's what you got to do. You go to start securing your email privacy with Start Mail by signing up today, and you get 50% off your first year. You go to startmail.com/Eric. That's Start Mail with a T, START mail.com/ERICK for 50% off your first year. Startmail.com/Eric. Keep your mail confidential. Keep your email private. Avoid the scams and the hackers with Start Mail.
Hello there, it is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-97-ERIC, 877-973-7425. If you want to be on the program, let me see if I can take a call here. James, I think I'm going to go to you first today. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Eric. I'm wondering, this wasn't just an American operation. This was a NATO operation. The NATO website, as of publication February 2021, said there was over 9,000 troops in Afghanistan with NATO, 1,300 from Germany, 895 from Italy, Romania, 619. I'm wondering, we pulled out 2,500, but couldn't our NATO allies have replace that in order to keep stability? And what are our allies saying about this situation? Are they supporting what Biden did?
So to answer your question there, Biden never talked to the allies. The Washington Post actually has a big story today that they were completely caught off guard, and that the British, French, and Germans in particular are appalled at what happened. That the Americans had been doing most of the heavy lifting. The NATO allies were largely in support positions, remote from Afghanistan, handling logistics, satellites, drones, things like that, while it was Americans on the ground. And Biden decided to escalate this without actually consulting with the American allies. Angela Merkel, in particular, is apparently furious with him, as is Emmanuel Macron. It flat out was a botched operation by the president of the United States, who did not. And, you know, this is the thing, is when Trump was president, what did we hear all the time? That he didn't consult with our allies and they did not like him. And in comes Joe Biden, and he does not consult with the allies and catches them off guard. They were not prepared for the collapse. You know, the last man standing in Afghanistan? The British ambassador. The British ambassador has refused to leave the airport, granting visas to anyone who wants them to be able to get to Great Britain, and says he's not afraid to die doing it. There's a role model. The American ambassador, meanwhile, grabbed the flag and fled on a plane. I don't know if he took the rainbow flag with him or not, but he had one that he had flown in Afghanistan. Just pathetic. Just pathetic. And the press has turned on him, but there's going to be some fallout here. I want to keep taking your phone calls on this. 877-973-7425. When we come back as well, though, there's a disturbing report from the Washington Post about what Joe Biden hath wrought. And you should note in the visuals of this, Joe Biden yesterday said he was going to take questions from the press. He gave a speech and immediately turned around and walked out and did not take those questions. Meanwhile, the Taliban spokesman was conducting interviews on MSNBC. No one from the Biden administration would go on television yesterday. The Taliban was happy to, and of course, MSNBC was happy to interview the Taliban. Just amazing. I don't want to spend the entire show on Afghanistan today. There's a lot of other stuff going on. I try not to talk about COVID. We're going to have to talk about it a little bit, but there's a lot more. But also, what's the political fallout? When we come back, though, this horrifying report in the Washington Post that gives you an idea of just how bungled this operation was and what it has inspired. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-97-ERIC, 877-973-7425. Let's go back to the phones. Andrew, you're going to be up next on the Eric Erickson Show. Welcome.
Hey, Eric.
Hi there.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hey, Eric, it's Andrew. Anyway, all right, so it's a quick question. In the quick, rapid exit, unplanned, unmanaged, how much military secrets, technology, etc. did we lose and will be in the China's or Russia's hands for the right price in the next 6 months?
Oh, Andrew, they've already shown the video of the Afghan troops driving American tanks and flying helicopters into Iran with the Iranians there to wait. Now, a general was asked about this. General Hank Taylor.
So there's no U.S. actions being taken to prevent equipment from falling into the hands of the Taliban by destroying it or anything else?
I don't have that answer to that question.
Don't have the answer.
Don't have the answer to that question. Yeah. Also, Matt Lee from the Associated Press dared to confront the Pentagon spokesman on the withdrawal.
So we do not have an American presence on the ground.
Is there any presence?
We do not have an American presence on the ground at the embassy. Our ambassador is and has been at the embassy at the compound, the Hamid Karzai International Airport, since late last night, our time, and that remains the case.
Yeah, but there isn't any protecting power. There's nobody there. It's wide open for anyone who wants to go in there.
As you know,
regardless of whether it's in a built-up, barricaded area or not, you basically just took off and left it empty.
As you know, it is a heavily fortified area.
So there's nobody. This not our finest moment. Let's go back to the phones. Maggie, you're going to be up next. Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show. Maggie, how are you?
I'm doing well, Eric. Thanks for taking my call. I always thought the Democrats would find a banana peel for Joe to fall on and get rid of him that way, but I think they've come up with another plan. His bungled withdrawal equals Watergate. The Democratic representatives and senators approach him and tell him there's no vote of confidence. He resigns. Kamala becomes president. That's who they wanted all along. End game.
Well, okay, that may be the case, Maggie. I would say, though, that we do need to remember that the perspective here is behind the scenes. They really, genuinely, truly believe Joe Biden's the only man who can hold the party together. A lot of the Democratic senators behind the scenes actually despise Kamala Harris, do not like her. And it is remarkable to hear them talk about Kamala Harris behind the scenes. And she herself, let's not forget, has had such a bad couple of months, she's gone into hiding. Where in the world is Kamala Harris? She's disappeared. They sent her on a trip abroad without any press coverage to cover her trip abroad. That's how badly she's bungled it. So if they really wanted Kamala Harris, they certainly don't now. They've sent her into the witness protection program. It's just it's been remarkable to watch her fall, and now this from Biden. Ash, I think we're going to make you the last caller on Afghanistan today. Welcome.
Hello, Eric.
Hi.
Good afternoon. This is Ash. Well, I heard the news conference on BBC today, just now, about an hour ago. And what do you think about the Taliban? They said that they have completely changed their strategy from the past, and that they are in contact with all the international people in Doha, and they're going to include everybody, and they give amnesty to every people who they've been fighting for, and everything's going to be calm and nice, and they're going to form the new government. And since you have been in the Middle East, what do you think about them?
Look, I think that the Taliban strategy has certainly changed to a degree from what it was 20 years ago. They don't want us to come back in, but they also haven't changed their stripes. And we're going to have some problems. And Ash, your call is the perfect segue into this. Y'all need to pay attention to this. This is a story by Missy Ryan and Suad Maknat at the Washington Post. After Taliban triumph, Biden faces even greater test in preventing extremist resurgence in Afghanistan. Let me read you this. Even before the Taliban's stunning takeover this week, American military and intelligence officials were racing to devise plans for containing extremist threats emanating from Afghanistan, a task they knew would be more difficult following completion of President Biden's order for withdrawal. Now, as the militants commandeer Afghanistan's security and intelligence institutions, the Biden administration faces a far steeper challenge in fulfilling the president's pledge to prevent al-Qaeda, the Islamic State, and other terrorist groups that have operated there from regaining strength. Current and former officials said that the process for identifying and responding to terrorist plots has been upended as the Pentagon and the CIA, instead of planning for operations alongside an allied government and friendly spy agency in Kabul, are forced to contemplate an environment abruptly off limits and under the control of a hostile regime. At the same time, there are worrisome signs it may become more difficult for the U.S. to prevent a resurgence by al-Qaeda, which a recent United Nations report said maintained a presence in at least 15 Afghan provinces and showed no indication of breaking ties with the Taliban. Foreign intelligence officials said they are detecting signs that the Taliban's victory has energized global jihadists, a threat that may only grow as the Taliban releases al-Qaeda operatives who were imprisoned by the Afghan government. An intelligence official from an Arab nation who, like others, spoke on the condition of anonymity to describe evolving assessments, said officials had seen an uptick in jihadist communications about developments in Afghanistan. The Taliban takeover, the official said, is encouraging many jihadists to think about traveling to Afghanistan now instead of Syria or Iraq. According to a European intelligence official, the Taliban victory has become a rallying cry for jihadist organizers there. The U.S. appears in all of this now as a weak nation, he said. An al-Qaeda fighter who goes by the name Abu Khalid said the Taliban's conquest was momentous for all extremists. God willing, the success of the Taliban will also be a chance to unify mujahideen movements like al-Qaeda and Daesh, he said, using another name for the Islamic State. In April, CIA Director William Burns told lawmakers it would be harder to track al-Qaeda and other extremist groups without the bases and medical and air support the 20-year military effort in Afghanistan has provided, but said the agency would retain a suite of capabilities. There you have it, folks. What Joe Biden has done has destabilized the world. What Joe Biden has done, and by the way, this is Joe Biden. This is not Donald Trump. Sure, Donald Trump began the conversations with the Taliban and wanted to withdraw from Afghanistan. Joe Biden delayed it. He could have delayed it longer. He could have stopped it. He chose not to. Joe Biden went forward with this. The result is a victory for the Taliban and an emboldened Islamic jihadist movement around the world. It's just dumbfounding that they did this. Here's the New York Times' Peter Baker.
It's sort of unfathomable. I mean, the truth is, I'm not an intelligence expert. I don't know what the intelligence agencies told the president, but certainly enough people have told this White House over the months that this was an almost inevitable outcome, whether it happened today, tomorrow, or months from now. Almost everybody understood that this is what was going to happen. So knowing that that was the case and knowing that it could happen very quickly, given the history in Afghanistan, clearly they didn't move fast enough or orderly enough to avoid the exact kind of chaos we're seeing right now. And I think it's an extraordinary situation that the administration has to deal with at this point.
Yep, they got to deal with it, except he's going to be a one-term president. The next president is really going to have to deal with it. Mark Thiessen, The Washington Post.
And one of the things we did in Afghanistan in 2015 is we were not there nation building. We were not even fighting the war. What we were doing was we were providing them what Jack Keane described on your show earlier. We were providing them with intelligence, mission planning, and air support. And it's clear they couldn't defend the country without that. Name me a U.S. ally anywhere in the world who could. Do you think South Korea could defend itself against a North Korean invasion without the U.S. military there? If they could, then we should get out. Do you think Taiwan could defend itself against the Chinese invasion without the U.S. military? Japan, Germany, any of these countries could have defended. Germany could have defended itself against the Soviet invasion. Ukraine could defend itself against Russia. No U.S. ally in the world could defend itself without some sort of level of U.S. support. That's why we have troops stationed in Korea. That's why we have troops in Japan. That's why we had troops in Germany during the Cold War to prevent a Soviet invasion over the Fulda Gap. So all these people running around blaming the Afghan army because we abandoned them and then saying they didn't fight is just shameful. It's victim shaming. You know, that we abandoned these people. The goal in Afghanistan was not to create a Jeffersonian democracy. The goal in Afghanistan was to make sure that there was a government in place that didn't wake up every morning saying that America must be destroyed and provide sanctuary to terrorists who wanted to actively destroy America. That mission was being accomplished by our United States military in Afghanistan.
Mark?
We were succeeding. We were doing it with 2,600 troops, which is less than we have in Spain today. And the idea that we pull that out and abandon that country to hand it back to the Taliban is shameful.
It is. And pay attention to that point, all of you who said this was a forever war and an occupation. We have more troops in Spain than we had in Afghanistan. And with a fewer troops in Afghanistan than Spain, we were able to hold Afghanistan and keep the Taliban out of power and keep al-Qaeda on the run, and acquired the intelligence in order to track them. And that's all gone now. Thanks, Joe. This is all on Joe Biden. That's just the truth. You as a partisan Democrat may not like that. But, you know, Ron Fortier, who used to be the Associated Press editor, very much a partisan, progressive, can't stand Donald Trump, has repeatedly attacked Trump supporters as a cult. Yesterday on Twitter noted that the Biden supporters are behaving just like the Trump cult. They're not willing to call him out for bungling, for a disaster, for a terrible move. They aren't. Now, how's it going in Afghanistan and how did his speech go over? Here's CNN, about the only news organization with still an active news presence there.
So have you heard anything from the people on the streets there? Did they even know what happened?
Not so much from people on the streets, but I have been having conversations throughout the morning, particularly with people who are trying to leave the country. I think for them, you know, President Biden's speech was not reassuring. I think a lot of people felt disappointed by it. They felt that there were hollow words. They don't any longer really trust or believe in the U.S.'s commitment to the people of Afghanistan. Don't forget, it was 1 week ago. The U.S. was saying we're not shutting the embassy. It's still open. The message is enduring partnership. Fast forward 5 or 6 days, and suddenly everyone's being evacuated. Now, people on the ground understand that President Biden's primary duty is to the American people and to ensuring their security. And I don't think anybody would begrudge that. But there is a sense that they've simply been cast aside and abandoned. And there's a huge amount of heartache and a huge amount of resentment about that.
And there should be. This is just shameful. It is pathetic. It's bad. It's very bad. And it's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse. And now the multitude of Islamic jihadists will go to Afghanistan and they will organize against us. Just shameful. Folks, the Eden Pure thunderstorm is an air purifier that can purify the air in your house. It can clean it. It can get rid of the smoky tobacco odors. It can get rid of the fry odors when you fry in the kitchen. It can get rid of the black mold and mildew floating in the air. And it's filterless. You do not have to keep a subscription going for the filters. So what you do if you're interested in getting one, because right now you can get 3 of them and save $200, you go to EdenPureDeals.com. If you do that and the website loads as it is for me, you will see my name. There it is, Eric Erickson, with a green circle around it. And you click it and you will see the buy 3, save $200 deal. Put that in your cart and then click the orange checkout button. When you do, you'll see a discount code, and the discount code is ERIC3. I got to tell you, people rave about the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. In fact, let me read you some of the testimonials from people about how good this thing is. Here, for example, is one. Very satisfied and very surprised at how well this small unit works. Noticed a difference almost immediately. I purchased the 3-pack, and I'm happy I did. You will be too. Eden Pure Deals. The checkout code is ERIC and the number 3, ERIC3, no space. Eric, number 3, go to EdenPureDeals.com. Take advantage of this great deal today. Get 3 of them, one for your downstairs, one for your upstairs, one to put wherever you go. You can thank me later. You'll enjoy them. They work. Well, there's a problem. There's a problem. The Pentagon will not say that they are able to get the 5,000 to 10,000 remaining American civilians out of Afghanistan. Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby on Tuesday sidestepped that question. Kirby said during a press briefing that U.S. military commanders at the Kabul International Airport are in communication with Taliban commanders on the ground outside the airport. He declined to further detail those discussions, saying only that he would let the results speak for themselves. Asked by a reporter if those discussions include talk of allowing Americans and Afghans through Taliban checkpoints or expanding the perimeter around the airport so more people can arrive at the airport safely, Kirby declined to get into the quote-unquote sausage-making of communications, end quote. He said that the military is processing American citizens, 5,000 to 10,000 of whom remain in the country, to evacuate, and said, though it is early on, the results are speaking for themselves. They can't get them out. They can't get them out. This is Joe Biden. This is Joe Biden. And this is just tragic. This is unfortunate, but this is where we are. You know, while all of this is going on, it's worth noting there was an earthquake in Haiti. It was a pretty devastating, I think, 7 on the Richter scale earthquake in Haiti. Not good at all. And we're gonna have some fallout from this here in this country as well. The Haitians already going under a presidential coup. The U.S. administration having to step up some resources to help the Haitians. That country, just devastation upon devastation. You know, it's a country where one of the official religions is voodoo. It's got all sorts of problems. My church has helped fund churches in Haiti, and the missionaries who come to our church and the pastors who work down there, they just have horror stories of what it's like to deal with the folks in Haiti. It's a sad situation. Keep the Haitians in your prayers because the situation there is not good at all. Well, you know what's good? You know what you will find is something you want? Omaha Steaks. You want to save up for Labor Day. Labor Day is upon us. It's a couple of weeks away. You can get a great deal at Omaha Steaks right now. In fact, let me tell you what. I'm going to do this for you. Go to omahasteaks.com. At the top of the site, if you're on, for example, if you're on your laptop, at the top of the site, you'll see a search bar. Otherwise, if you're on mobile, you'll see the little 3 lines, the hamburger menu, they call it. And you can find the little magnifying glass for the search menu there. And you can put my first name in the search bar, Eric, E-R-I-C-K. When you do, you'll see my little name drop down, Eric Erickson, and you click it, and you will get an incredible, incredible deal from Omaha Steaks. You're going to get lots of stuff in this package from Omaha Steaks. You're going to get the bacon wrap fillets. You're going to get a pile of burgers for free. Let me do this one for you, and I'll read you what you get. So you put Eric in the search bar, and you click through. You get the grill out assortment in time for Labor Day. 4 bacon wrap fillets, 4 boneless chicken breasts, 4 boneless pork chops, 4 filet mignon burgers, 4 gourmet jumbo franks. They're all beef meatballs, individual scallop potatoes, the caramel apple tartlets, and free 12 Omaha Steak burgers. Free 12 burgers. Go to omahasteaks.com, put Eric in the search bar. You'll love it.
Right now, the gap between what you should save and what you can save has never felt bigger. The U.S. Bank mobile app can help by finding ways to help you reach your savings goals with personalized insights that fit your real life to make your financial goals feel within reach. Because even our tools are smart enough to put people first. U.S. Bank. We'll get there together. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
My dad used to say that.
Sure, yeah. It's from Geico.
Yeah, whenever I would ask my dad for life advice, he'd sit me down and say, son, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. And look at me now, a well-adjusted adult with a drawer full of plastic bags I'll never use.
Okay, I'm confused. Was your dad a licensed Geico agent?
Nah, he was just a real good dad.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.